The iRODS data grid is used to support descriptive metadata for multiple disciplines. Since each discipline has a different set of descriptive metadata, it is not feasible to try to construct a database that explicitly lists all descriptive metadata as columns and tables. The iRODS data grid uses Schema Indirection to store arbitrary descriptive attributes on any file, user, storage system, or collection. To store an attribute, a triplet is created called an AVU for attribute name, attribute value, and attribute unit. The AVUs are stored in the metadata catalog using persistent state variable names that reflect the type of object. For files, the names are attribute name, metadata adder name, attribute value, metadata adder value, attribute units, metadata adder units. The units field can be used to store comments or tags associated with the attribute value. Additional information is stored about each metadata attribute. Attribute internal ID, metadata adder ID, attribute creation time, metadata create time, attribute modification time, metadata modify time. To find all files that have a specific metadata attribute name, such as DESC, use the select statement. Select data name where metadata adder name equals DESC. Note that DESC is in single quotes. Descriptive metadata can be added to the entities managed by the data grid. Each entity can have unique descriptive attributes, or you can require that all files in a collection have the same set of attributes. For each type of entity, a different set of AVU names are referenced. For files, you use metadata adder name. For collections, use metacall adder name. For users, metauser adder name. Resources, metaresc adder name. Rules, metarule adder name. Microservices, metamsrvc adder name. Metadata, metamet2 adder name. A similar naming scheme is used for the adder value and adder units. An example rule to search for all files in a collection that have a specified attribute name is shown here. In the example, the search is done for an attribute called class. The search is restricted to files that are in the rules directory. Each file that is found is listed to standard out. Possible modifications to this rule would be to count the number of files that have the selected attribute name, or find all of the metadata attributes that are used for files in the collection, or identify whether all files use the same set of descriptive attribute names. A collection is defined in the variable star call. The attribute name is defined in the variable star @name. A select statement is used to generate a query to search for the attribute name within a given collection. A loop is done over the query results. The file name is extracted and written to standard out. Each file in a collection may have been given unique metadata attributes. To impose consistency, you may require that all of the files in a collection use the same descriptive attributes. One way to do this is to register the required attribute names on the collection. You can then check whether the attributes on a file correspond to the attributes defined on the collection. A rule that does this comparison is available in the Policy Examples Workbook, Chapter 5.11.1. A second approach to verify consistency of metadata is to use a reserved vocabulary published through the Helping Interdisciplinary Vocabulary Engineering software, Hive. This system publishes formal ontologies for disciplines and the reserved vocabulary words used by the discipline. Each metadata attribute value can then be compared with the reserved words to verify consistency with the discipline's choice of vocabulary. Take 7 minutes to complete exercise 47. Add metadata attributes to 2 files in your collection. Use the cloud browser to add the metadata. Run a rule to discover the files with the specified attribute. You can use the rule test list files meta.r in the directory lifelibzone home rwmore rules. Please load your rule file into the lifetime library in the subcollection class INLS 624 by the end of today's class.